Don't you guys just love competition? Because in the end, it's a win-win for us. It's a win-win for consumers, for gamers, for literally every single person that goes out and buys something. Competition is what makes things better for everyone. Except when Sony does something that is very weird. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So recently, Sony has confirmed that a key feature that Xbox has is also coming to the PlayStation 5 via a future software update. And that key feature is VRR, or variable refresh rate. So why is this important, you might ask? Good question. It helps your TV synchronize its refresh rate to the frame rate that you're getting on the console. So as we've seen, if you're playing Call of Duty Cold War on the Xbox Series X or the PlayStation 5, it's not at a constant 120 frames per second. It can dip down below to around 105, 106 frames per second. Meanwhile, while you're getting 105, 106 frames per second, your TV or your monitor is constantly outputting 120 hertz. You don't need that because you're not getting 120 hertz, right? You're only getting around 106, 107, up to 120 hertz in some cases of the game. So when the refresh rate and the frame rate doesn't match up, it creates what is called screen tearing. And screen tearing, I don't know if you guys have seen it before, but it's basically if you ever do some very quick actions in a game, you will literally see like the top half of your screen and the bottom half of your screen for a split second just literally like mismatch and go out of place. That's simply because the refresh rate and the frame rates aren't matching up. Now you obviously need a TV or a gaming panel to support this feature, and according to the Video Games Chronicle, you also need a modern TV with HDMI 2.1, which is just very weird. I'm not entirely sure why HDMI 2.1 for the PlayStation 5 is needed to achieve variable refresh rate. My monitor supports it, and my monitor is not HDMI 2.1. So, what? VRR isn't anything new in the realm of consoles. In fact, the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X both had VRR, and I know this because, well, it worked perfectly with my monitor. So I thought that article might have probably misinterpreted what Sony said. So I did some Googling and I found this Q&A from Sony themselves, and well, look what I found. So unfortunately, if you already have a TV or a gaming monitor that supports variable refresh rate, if it's not HDMI 2.1, that feature for some reason will not be unlocked. I don't know why Sony's only keeping it for the HDMI 2.1. HDMI 2.1 isn't the only way of achieving 120 hertz. But then again, PlayStation 5 doesn't have 1440p either, huh? Well. Speaking of 120 hertz, I don't know if you guys have heard, but there are a ton of last-gen games that are being updated to work with 120 hertz on the Xbox Series X. Way more than the PlayStation 5. Now, remember in like every single Xbox video, I never failed to mention I love the way Xbox is doing backwards compatibility. What? Compatibility. There you go. It's not that hard. Well, that is the same exact reason why Xbox has more 120 FPS games than the PlayStation 5 does. A good example is Rocket League and Warzone. The developer Psyonix told Eurogamer that to enable 120 Hz on the Xbox would just require a simple patch. Meanwhile, on the PlayStation 5, it will require a full native port. And they don't have time to do that because they're working on other projects, so sucks to suck. This is what Digital Foundry chief Richard Ledbetter had to say to Eurogamer. 120 Hz support has indeed been a feature for Xbox for some years now, although Rainbow Six Siege was the only game that actually exceeded 60 frames per second. The strategy from Microsoft was always to implement features like this and VRR ahead of time, so display manufacturers had target hardware to work with, mostly so the foundations would be set in place for next-gen games. Right now, Sony limits 120 Hz support to games specifically designed for PS5, meaning that enhanced PS4 games like Rocket League and Warzone cannot tap into that feature. Theoretically, it should be possible for Sony to adjust this, but it would require a fair degree of work. And I guess the question is whether engineering resources focused on PS5 could be redirected to PS4 instead. It really does seem like the ball is in Sony's court on this one. So that is the exact reason why. It has nothing to do with how powerful the consoles are. It has a lot to do, in fact, everything to do with the way Sony is doing backwards compatibility. I give up. I can't say that word. Compatibility. Compatibility. What? If you've played Call of Duty Cold War at 120 FPS on either of the two consoles, because both of them support it, you know damn well how awesome 120 Hz is, or 120 FPS is. It is amazing. You just cannot go back to 60 Hz. It sucks. It's like eating your favorite combination of ice cream. You love it. It's your favorite ice cream in the world. It's your favorite combo of different ice creams all in one. You love it. And then the next day you just go back to vanilla. No, that's not happening. Now currently Warzone is populated like crazy. So let's see what Sony does. Again, the ball is in Sony's court. So guys, this was Mark from Mark's Tech. Adios.